Once again, happy to have her, Congresswoman Marjorie Taylor Greene, Republican of Georgia. Welcome back, Congresswoman. And it occurs to me you are, I think, the most famous Republican, most well-known Republican in the House of Representatives right now, more so than Kevin McCarthy in terms of name recognition. I don't know if that makes your life easier or harder, but I believe it to be true.
Well, I think it matters what your name is famous for.
How are you?
I'm doing well, Greg. How are you doing?
Terrific. Well, what about that high profile? Is it a hindrance? Is it a burden? Your life has changed remarkably.
What's it like to be really famous, Marge? Because Greg has no idea.
You're still a freshman and one of the most talked about.
By the way, for the record, I'm only saying this to annoy Greg. So many of you know that I did a little retail therapy yesterday morning. I went and got a new pair of motorcycle gloves, and I got those, the gloves that I got that are the American flag gloves that I love. I got those at the Harley Davidson store here in Las Vegas. And it's the first time I'd gone into a store without a mask, because the policy here is you do not have to wear a mask in these stores unless you have not been vaccinated, or it would make you more comfortable to wear one. Like, basically, you're good to go as long as you've been vaccinated. And since I've been vaccinated, and I went, I had my mask in my back pocket in case I walk near anybody who might have any of the other hundreds of infectious diseases that exist. It's nice to know that that's there, right? Hip pocketing that. There's a dude sneezing and coughing all over the place. Might just walk a big circle around him, right? But I just had it with me. And I had this lovely couple. This woman walks up and she's like, "Are you the guy? Were you on a show called Lab Rats?" And I went, "Yeah." And I'm like, "You spotted me with COVID hair, did you?" She goes, "Our daughter loves the show and she would love a picture with you." So I go over, and this is my first time out without a mask in public. And the first store I'd gone to without a mask right out of the gate. And I'm just saying, Greg Kelly would hate to be in a Harley Davidson store with me. I'm just saying, it would be very upsetting. It was very sweet. They were lovely, lovely people.
Talked about people in America.
They're from Pittsburgh. I don't even think they voted the same way I did, but I don't care. See how that works?
America, how are you holding up?
Yeah, what's it like being really famous?
I'm holding up well because I live in Georgia and my district is the land of freedom. And so it's wonderful.
So fuck the rest of the country. America's a trash heap. It's not the land of freedom. So the Constitution only applies to small districts in Georgia. Is that what you're saying? Great. Nice patriotism.
To be at home.
I noticed there aren't any American flags up there. There is a dude walking around on his phone in the background.
Can be interesting.
Is he from your gym?
When I'm out traveling, going to different places. But I'm holding up well because that's being popular wasn't the reason why I wanted to run for Congress.
Well, that's lucky.
I wanted to make effective.
By the way, popular and being known is not the same thing. That's why there's a difference between what I would call a celebrity, which is someone who does something you like they're an actor or a musician or something on a TV show, and a person on a reality show that I would call an awareity. You are aware of them, but you do not celebrate them. You're just like, oh, that guy.
Effective change. And I was frustrated, and I'm still frustrated at how Congress is failing the people. And I believe we can do better, and that's why I continue to be outspoken.
We appreciate your
Really? I thought it was just because you like the attention.
Outspokenness. Sometimes outspokenness can complicate one's life. Now, you're on a program.
Really? That's never been my experience.
And you started talking about, well, let's just listen because this made news and it might be causing you problems right now and in the future. Let's go ahead.
This woman is mentally ill. You know, we can look back in a time in history where people were told to wear a gold star and they were definitely treated like.
Look at this nodding asshole. They were how were they treated?
Second-class citizens.
I'm sorry, second class what?
This woman is mentally ill. You know, we can look back in a time in history where people were told to wear a gold star and they were definitely treated like second-class citizens, so much so that they were put in trains and taken to gas chambers in Nazi Germany. And this is exactly the type of abuse that Nancy Pelosi is talking about.
Okay. Holy shit, that whole thing, just unpacking that. First of all, I'm going to go with second-class citizens aren't being exterminated. I'd go with last class. I mean, at least fifth class. What's third world, third class, maybe? Good fucking God.
All right. Some reactions so far. Now,
some reaction so far. You think? Like, I should probably have that, like, called up. Yeah, there it is. Tell us some of the reactions,
now,
Greg.
Kevin McCarthy, the minority leader in the House, his reaction, and he's talking openly, I think, about expulsion, but Marjorie is wrong in her intentional decision to compare the horrors of the Holocaust with wearing masks is appalling. Let me be clear, the House Republican Conference condemns this language.
Too little, too late to ever try again.
You do have some pretty key support as well, especially here in New York in the Jewish community. I'd like to put both of these up. This is Nachman Matovsky, and he makes it quite clear that
almost all Orthodox Jews support Marjorie Taylor Greene. You know, the people that actually practice Judaism. Yikes.
Almost all Orthodox Jews support Marjorie Taylor Greene. And he says, you know, the people that actually practice Judaism.
Yeah, just so you know, if you're not an Orthodox Jew, according to Nachman Matovsky, yeah, you're not a real Jew. Just to clarify. I mean, you may have thought you were, but you're not.
There's also a Republican candidate in Ohio for the U.S. Senate, a former Marine. Hamas caucus attacking Israel and Jews, yet establishment Republicans like Kevin McCarthy won't take a stand. They are more interested in virtue signaling to their pals in the media about Marjorie Taylor Greene than they.
But for the record, all they do is attack the Squad and others for being too supportive of Palestinians. Take a stand. They're always doing that. More interested in virtue signaling to their pals in the media about
are in combating Hamas spokesman Ilan Omar and Rashida Tlaib. Wow.
Tlaib. And they attack both of those people all the time.
All right. So, Congresswoman.
No, Hamas does not have a caucus. That's their nickname for it.
What do you have to say?
That's just ridiculous.
Well, here's what I have to say. You have to have respect for Nancy Pelosi and that she never allows attacks on her own. And she defends them even when they sleep with Chinese spies.
Yeah, especially when they go straight to the FBI if they've been told that person is a Chinese spy and that they didn't sleep with them. But keep saying that, though. Please. Sex guru fucking at the gym says what?
When they attack Israel, when they stand with Hamas terrorism, and that when they're...
Well, they don't. They stand with the Palestinian people and obviously support a two-state solution. You know, that doesn't mean you agree with what Hamas does, but you don't want the strafe bombing of Palestinians. I mean, how is it the human shield's fault all the time? I think that's what came up during the Hannity-Geraldo Bongino exchange.
Their rhetoric is so disgusting, and that Antifa pro-Palestinian rioters are on the streets attacking American Jews. You know, Nancy Pelosi stands with her own, and Kevin McCarthy never had to say a word. He could have said, you know, you should ask Marjorie about her words and ask her what she had to say.
Yeah, he's in charge of the caucus. He doesn't follow what you say. You follow what he says, because he's actually gotten elected and pushed up and was chosen by the rest of your party for a role in leadership. So there's a hierarchy for a reason.
That would have been the right answer for him. So it's unfortunate that he took this route. And he didn't even text me or
it's not. It has nothing to do with fortunate or unfortunate. He didn't trip over what you said.
Call me, which is really a shame. Before I found out, seeing it in the news that he had said that, and then sadly, you know, Elise Stefanik, our new GOP chair, followed suit, of course, right along. And
really, she pulled a Liz Cheney on you.
And then I think Steve Scalise and others, and they shouldn't have done that. None of them called me and asked me what I meant by what.
No, you said it on tape in an interview. You're responsible for your words. They didn't call. Then it's not their job to call you and go, what'd you mean to say? What you actually fucking said is your responsibility. Do you understand how, like, remember, the Republicans is the party of personal responsibility. You take charge, you take responsibility. You know, real Americans get up and do their own job, and they don't look to Washington to handle their problems. She wants the leadership of the party to call her and ask her what she meant, not what she said. Fuck off.
By what I had said, and the
What you said was what was fucked up.
media, as usual, twist and turn my words.
Nobody did. You wanted him to call you so you could twist and turn your words and turn them into something else.
It's terrible how people are being treated in this country about masks and about vaccine passports. And
they're not being treated in any way. They aren't. Mask mandates are being lifted all over the fucking place. There are no vaccine passports. There may be some, but they're going to largely be on fucking cruise ships. And you only need vaccine passports because of asshole supporters of hers that would lie about having gotten it if they had to go to some place where there was a rule about having the vaccine, instead of being honest and letting the market decide, going, I haven't had the vaccine, I'm not going to have the vaccine, so I'm not going to your fucking club, or I'm not going on your goddamn cruise. And the cruise companies would have to deal with the fact that, oh, we're losing this 16% of the of our audience or our potential customer base, because we have to choose this. Do we want these people to come on the boat and murder the rest of the people on board? Or do we let it, or do we do a whole anti-vaxxer cruise just for them?
And we have to stand up to these aggressions and these.
Alyosha, I have no idea why she thinks she's smart. It is, if anything, the Dunning-Kruger kind of self-geniusing of common sense. It's a common thread amongst her, Rudy Giuliani, and Trump, and Matt Gaetz.
These are the exact types of aggressions that take away our freedoms. And
What aggressions? It's not an aggression. No one is going to you and slapping a mask on you. If you want to come into this space, you have to put a mask on, and only temporarily. Over a few months till we get a hang on, get a hold on this.
And we've seen it with tyrants in the past throughout history.
What? Yeah. Oh, yeah. I remember Genghis Khan's mask mandates. The fuck?
And these are definitely countries that pursued the socialist path, the same path that the Democrats are pursuing.
See, that's the National Socialist Party Nazi part that they're trying to tie those together. This is her cleanup act. It doesn't have any meaning, but that's what she's doing.
Hey, I see this. Someone is wondering whether or not Kevin McCarthy has the intellectual furniture or the backbone for the job he had.
Furniture. Intellectual furniture or fortitude?
I tweeted that a few hours ago. Sorry. That's
intellectual furniture.
There's that out there. I would like to offer this, though. As you know, the Holocaust is without comparison, so that can set people off.
Apparently it isn't, Greg. Apparently it is with comparison. And she's comparing it to a temporary mask mandate and a free vaccine.
But it does seem like we're in this point where people...
No, we're not in this point. She's in this point.
They're being labeled. They're being labeled or typecast, a Karen, a racist, a white...
A racist Karen. A racist Karen, white supremacist.
And
so basically you're just reading her resume at this point.
Or an anti-vaxxer.
Yeah, she's an anti-vaxxer too. Yeah, she's a racist Karen, white supremacist, anti-vax. I think that's pretty much, nailed it. I mean, I don't think you're going to get much pushback from her.
Rand Paul was on the show yesterday. He
gets labeled a Karen all the time, usually by people who see him at the grocery store.
He has death threats, and people are confronting him because he will not take the vaccination. And I think that, the segregation...
No. It's not because he won't take it. It's because he actively pushes not to have it, and he endangers the people around him.
And labeling people, it's reminiscent of some things we've seen before in history.
Is it? What's it? Yeah. Is it? Yeah, it's the Holocaust is incomparable. You can't compare it to anything. But I'm kind of going to compare it right now because I'm Greg Kelly. I am kind of saying that, it kind of is. I mean, what's the difference between trains rolling up to concentration camps full of ovens to burn people alive and or gas them, or in Spandau where they would hang people in rows? What's the difference between that and a temporary mask mandate that currently is on its way out?
Absolutely, Greg.
Absolutely, Greg. You're completely right. Honestly, what was the big fucking deal about the Holocaust? Because that's what she's saying. Nobody who hears this thinks, even people that support her, thinks wearing a mask and vaccines are like being rounded up and put in gas chambers. But a bunch of her followers think that the Holocaust was bullshit and that the numbers have been inflated and it was more like 600,000 and these people were criminals anyways, and it was just how they got rid of some people who were fighting for the other side and they just couldn't waste the bullets because they were busy fighting the Russians. There's a bunch of people that support her that absolutely believe that.
Completely right. And this is why I refuse to wear my mask on the House floor, because of these tyrannical power.
By the way, she did wear her mask for a while, and she's been vaccinated.
We're grabbing ridiculous policies that condemn people. And, you know, the Democrats are the party of hate and the party of division.
What do we hate? You know what I hate? You know what I really, really hate? 600,000 dead Americans.
And now we're actually seeing, like, the University of Virginia, where they're telling their students they can't return back to class in person unless they get the vaccine.
Right. Yeah. If you don't want to, go to another fucking school.
And this is a vaccine that most people in their age group survive easily, and the vaccine is not even FDA approved.
She means disease, by the way, survive easily. And by the way, the long-term effects and all those kind of things and the mental health issues in 30% of people who've recovered from COVID. I mean, just look at Rand Paul.
You know, it's against their HIPAA rights for any government.
Bullshit. No, it's not a violation of HIPAA rights to say you've been vaccinated for a disease. We have rules in school about kids getting it. You're not violating children's rights because they have to have a vaccine card. They've got to get their vaccination against fucking measles to go to another school and whooping cough.
Institutions, school,
bullshit.
School, workplace, or anyone to tell someone else if they should get the vaccine. It's
bullshit. Private institution.
Completely wrong. But to be treated that way is absolutely horrific.
Is it horrific? Is it horrific? Is it a fucking horror? Is it equivalent to being burned alive and your ashes scattered where no one can ever, and your gold and your paintings and anything of value your family has being held in a Swiss bank for decades after your death?
And so that's why I'm fighting it on the House floor. I'm doing that on behalf.
You're not fighting it. You're bitching on the House floor. You're accomplishing fuck all.
On behalf of all the school kids.
This is posturing nonsense.
They're being forced to wear masks by communist teachers unions.
Communist teachers unions. And in her defense, she believes all unions are communist. It's their raison d'etre. But I understand that. No. And Greg is really, he knows he's getting into deep shit with this part of it. And
by businesses and universities that are really treating people like second class citizens.
Are they like the kind of second class? Oh, so businesses are rounding people up and putting them in trains and burning them alive? Because that's what happens to second class citizens, right? Did she not remember what she just fucking said 3 minutes ago?
Because they don't want to get a vaccine.
No, it's not because they don't want to get a vaccine. It's because by not getting the vaccine, they can carry the disease and spread it to other people who haven't had a chance to get it yet and might die.
Congresswoman, you have been...
That's why.
Been harassed by all kinds of people.
No, she hasn't. She has not been harassed by all... She has harassed all kinds of people.
Especially our own government. We have the footage finally ready to go.
All right, finally. She's getting harassed by our own government.
When the troops from, I believe, Guam descended on your office.
The troops from Guam descended upon her office. Did they come in through the ceiling like the Rock?
In a pretty, I would say, a semi-aggressive way.
Really? Unarmed, no gear at all except their military outfits, wearing masks, walking.
They were there to
show you that Guam is an American territory.
I don't know. They seem to want to straighten you out about something you said about Guam.
What did she say about Guam? You can look it up. She's your guest. You prepared the footage, Greg. The fuck did she say?
I thought this was, you may know that I've spent a lot of time in the military, and I thought...
Did you spend any time in Guam?
This was incredibly inappropriate and potentially illegal.
Excuse me.
We actually haven't talked about this.
Did they bring a basket of snacks and information about Guam and showed her that the citizens of Guam actually serve in the National Guard there? Is that what that's about?
So you weren't in the office at the time, but Tell me your reaction to when the troops
Yeah, it must have been so frightening.
showed up and wanted to straighten you out about a political statement you made that you're entitled to make, by the way.
Yeah, and they're entitled to show up and go, hi, we work for the U.S. government. We're here. We are an American territory.
Yes, I'm appalled at that, and that's the delegate of Guam that did that, and I don't hold any
Wait, there's a congressional delegate for Guam? I thought it was a foreign country.
ill will towards the troops. I'm a big believer in our military.
Well, then why are you letting Greg Kelly shit talk them and lie about how they came there to intimidate you?
Dad was a Vietnam War veteran, and my husband served in the Navy, and I think our military men and women are the greatest among us, and they shouldn't be used this way, and they shouldn't be taught critical race theories and
Yeah, they're not.
And led into woke, progressive, ridiculous ideas in our military.
You just didn't know that they were a fucking part of, they were an American territory.
Our military men and women should be respected, and so should.
Yeah, and you didn't. You let Greg Kelly shit on them just now.
Female members of Congress should also be respected and not be treated this way.
I'm sorry, what? Okay. That sounds pretty fucking woke to me. So if you were a man representing the 14th District of Georgia and you shit-talked Guam and the Americans that serve there, if they showed up and went, dude, we're Americans, that would have been a different kind of intimidation because he was a man?
That's just another one of the aggressive things that the Democrats have done to me. Marching troops on my office, BLM Congresswoman Cori Bush, the same woman that led the mob into the neighborhood of the McCloskeys. She's now a member of Congress. She attacked me in the hallway. The lady across.
She attacked you? How did she attack you? Was it an Indian burn? Did she give you a noogie? She give you a wedgie? What happened? How did the attack go down? I would love to see the booking sheet.
The hall that planted the trans flag just recently rammed her shoulder into mine as she was leaving the House floor voting, and I turned and I said, "Excuse me," and she refused to even acknowledge me and apologize.
Oh, so you shouldered her and then said, "Excuse me," and she just kept walking. So honestly, I'm supposed to take your word for it?
They always say that it's me and they're
it is you.
Blaming me, but
it is you.
But all of these things have happened.
You're a liar. I don't buy it. I mean, you're making that story up. And you just shit on the military while saying you support the military, and then you created a double standard male to female that somehow you shouldn't have the National Guard show up and go, "Hi, we're Americans," at your door in their military outfits because that's what they serve in. Because you're a woman. What kind of woke, critical gender theory is this?
Have happened, and it's been the Democrats, and it's truly amazing.
Yeah, it's amazing that you can just lie like this. And Greg Kelly, I mean, I think he's orgasming right now.
Well, it's truly amazing also that the harder they fight against you and try to silence you, it appears to me from up here in New York that you're getting.
Oh, you mean the center of elite news? And by the way, we now know. Remember, we were like, is he doing his show from Texas or Florida or some shit? Because he always shits on New York as the media empire where all the elites are. And I was like, don't you do your show from New York, you liar? Turns out he does.
Getting stronger, becoming stronger, and your voice.
No, she's not. She's now talking in gymnasiums.
Heard by more and more people.
Yeah, but it's not a good thing. When your voice is heard by more and more people, and what you do with it is to compare mask wearing to people's parents and grandparents and siblings being murdered in Auschwitz. The fuck?
That's what I'm picking up. I hope you agree. Is that happening?
It's so much better.
Yes, it's definitely the case because people aren't stupid. And
unfortunately,
for too long,
if they were, you'd be able to film more than a school gymnasium,
Congress, and those
and a golf club in West Palm Beach
that have been elected have treated the American people like they're stupid and as if their voice doesn't matter and their solutions don't matter. But the only person I am is I am truly one of the people, and I am representing their Congress. And so everything that I say,
gibberish.
And I say to their faces right there on the House floor, and I say it all the time, are the exact words that regular people say at home at their kitchen table, that they might say at work during lunch, or they might say in the cafe when they're...
Yeah, but regular does not mean normal. They're the average people in your district that you hang out with, which is full on, what, maybe, 60% of your district? That's not what the other 40% of the people in your district say at the dinner table. And I'm going to guess that even the 60% that voted for you because they always vote for the Republican, they don't all sit. None of them. I wonder how many of them would go. So wearing a mask when you go to a restaurant and being able to take it off while you eat the new McRib sandwich. That's, you know, it's only around for a short time, but man, it's just one. And when you have to take it off for your Shamrock Shake, but you got to put it back on when you leave. On a scale of 1 to Auschwitz, where would you put that?
When they're having breakfast.
I call bullshit. I'm going to guess that a huge fucking chunk of her constituents think that's a shitty thing to say.
With their friends early on Saturday morning.
Thank you for the hype train. Are we getting one? I think it's working. Yeah, there we go.
So I'm truly representing the people, and that's really all I care about, because Congress...
Well, a narrow, psychotic group of people, you know, barely enough to fill a school auditorium.
Congress is an absolute failure. We're nearly $30 trillion in debt in this country. And
we have a $26 trillion economy.
Congress is failing the American people.
Representing...
Well, obviously, it's gotten worse since you've gotten in there.
The people. How about that? What a novel concept. And you're doing a fabulous job. In my opinion, an opinion show. Marjorie.
It's an opinion show. This isn't a fact. And secondly, I can't wait to, at the dinner table or at the lunch counter with my friends, talk about how basically having to get a vaccine and having a vaccine card that you can show to go to optional places that may or may not ask you to prove that you've been vaccinated to enter in the short term until it looks like we've got a grasp on this, especially since the Republicans are arguing that this is a weaponized virus designed to murder you. That those folks, basically it's Auschwitz. Basically.
Marjorie Taylor Greene, Republican of Georgia, we thank you so much, and we'll be right back.
Back from where? Auschwitz? Christ.